Mr Deputy Speaker, and I would start by echoing a number of other comments to commend the Chancellor in what would not have been an easy position to find himself in, only elevated to the role a couple of weeks ago, and having to compose a budget in the face of the coronavirus and the really fast-moving changes that are coming off the back of that, topped off with the fact that it's debatable how much say he had in it himself, and it was certainly to be commended that it was Dominic Cummings has done a grand job in pulling this together in such short notice. There is a limit to the levers which can be pulled to prevent the economic damage which we are all becoming braced for from this viral outbreak, and preparations to save people's lives must clearly be the first priority in any situation. But coronavirus is not the only crisis looming. There are many others of an entirely self-inflicted nature for which this government has been very poorly prepared. The good news is that they can be stopped by some simple changes of policy direction, and certainly we on these benches are always happy to offer suggestions of a better way forward. I want to start perhaps by areas I see that this budget has been silent on or missed, and certainly first and foremost to these and to the constituents in Midlothian that have been in contact with me. What about the WASPI women? Still waiting for justice, having lost years of expected pension without sufficient warning from the government at the time. The SNP previously demonstrated how that promise to 1950s women could be honoured, and at a far lower price tag than pet projects such as HS2, where endless billions have been found to dig the government deeper into a hole they've created. So to borrow a phrase from the Chancellor, come on Chancellor, just get it done. The Tories claim to be a party of business, but I suspect their interests lie more with the multimillionaires and the multinationals. For this budget does nothing for small businesses that are the lifeblood in my constituency in Midlothian. Life has been made more and more difficult by ill-thought-out policies like IR35 reforms, which could badly damage or close down businesses of contractors and freelancers. While I welcome some of the steps being outlined to tackle more of the promoters of such schemes, as usual it's the little guys and gals that are merely the collateral damage, left out of pocket, while those who seek to avoid paying their dues will no doubt carry on with impunity. We don't even need to look for evidence of this, as we know that not one single promoter so far of a loan charge scheme has been prosecuted, while countless individuals who are simply following advice and guidance available at the time are left ruined. As if that wasn't enough, there's the ongoing drama of the blind Brexit alley they've led us down. We've had industry experts across a whole range of sectors in Scotland, in hospitality, tourism, food and farming, health and social care, manufacturing, all lining up to say how devastating new immigration plans will be. What sort of government would deliberately and wilfully fly in the face of all the evidence and take measures which will drive down on economic growth? Certainly not a government that I would vote for. And while some on other benches would describe this as their most popular policy, it's certainly not in my country. The Scottish Government has offered a sensible, evidence-based solution of a Scottish visa which could protect the economy from this vandalism, while allowing the rest of the UK to continue to shoot itself in the foot if it so chooses. It is disappointing the Government has refused to even give this plan respectful consideration. Scotland's fed up of having damaging Tory policies inflicted upon it against our democratic will. Even Scottish Tories, by all accounts, are fed up of this. We're also fed up of having promises made and the promises swiftly dropped. Defence Estate Review being just another example. In 2013, we were told that we'd get more than our fair share by Philip Hammond, and that Scotland would get its fair share of military bases, and a promise of 12,500 by 2020. Instead, the numbers dropped from 10,600 in 2013 to 9,680 now. We also have no surface warships or bases in Scotland, despite 60% of the maritime territory being in Scottish waters. We have 8 Scottish bases confirmed for closure, including the Glencorse Barracks in my constituency in Pennycook. It cannot be right that there is no money for the personnel and the bases that we need, while £2.26 billion is wasted annually in Trident, the immoral, useless virility symbol that the majority of Scottish people do not want on our shores. It's time the Government took decision to rid of these weapons of mass destruction and scrap the £200 billion replacement plans rather than the continued nuclear willy-waving. This government has a real opportunity today to set out an agenda for change. This is an opportunity to look to who need a little extra help, to reach out and give a helping hand to the most vulnerable in our communities, and to recognise that after a decade of Tory austerity, we need to invest to grow the economy. But sadly, as too often is the way with Tory governments over the years, they look to find a way to abandon the rest of us and look out for their own. Perhaps this explains why Scotland has resoundingly rejected their ideological position consistently in election after election for almost 70 years. To conclude, Mr Deputy Speaker, while we must do all we can to prepare for coronavirus, there are many more threats to the well-being of the Scottish people and our economy. While they are coming from the skewed policy priorities of this UK Government, when the Government refuses to listen and impose policies that are against the best interests of the people it is supposed to serve, it is time for change, and it is time for Scotland to choose our own path.